Hello, and welcome to the Louise Elizabeth Podcast, formerly known as the Happy Lifestyles Podcast. Head over to episode 35 if you would love to learn more about the rebrand. This space is a space for me to talk about anything relating to holistic health living, mind, body, lifestyle, spirit, business, and so much more. In my opinion, health is a whole lifestyle, not just one thing that we work on. I will be getting transparent with you, sharing information that I have learned that has supported me and things that I'm currently learning and working on myself. Living a happy and holistic life has changed my world, and I hope to inspire you to do the same or give you the tools and resources that you can take away into your own life. I am a 620-hour registered yoga teacher. I am a registered holistic nutritionist and a professional network marketer in the wellness industry. Thank you for being here. Let's get started with today's episode. Hello. I am super excited to talk about this week's episode. Are you open to changing your mind? So the reason I'm excited to talk about this is because being super transparent, for a long time, I wasn't really arguably open to changing my mind. And I think everybody goes through this, and it's something that I've talked about, or not I've talked about, but in our 300-hour yoga teacher training, we especially talked about it. And it happens often when we go through, for example, like the journey of learning something new, of opening up our minds, of expanding, growing. We most often go through this phase of where we're not actually open to changing our minds. So we'll learn something new, for example, and be like, this way or the highway. And I'm not going to pretend like I've never done that before, and I'm sure I still do it now. Maybe I'm just not always aware of it, and I need to someone to check me on that one. But for a long time, especially though when I was in my 20s and I learned all these things and I dove into the holistic health world, I was just so close-minded. And a lot of things I used to say, for example, was I could never be vegetarian. And then I was vegetarian, and then I'd say everybody needs to be vegetarian. And then I realized that vegetarian doesn't work for everybody and plant-based doesn't work for everybody. I used to say everybody should do yoga. And I still think that yoga is useful, but yoga in the way of like not the traditional sense of yoga, like for some bodies, actual more traditional, whatever traditional means, yoga isn't actually useful and could be harmful in the body and could actually be doing more damage and support, especially if where they're doing yoga and who they're doing yoga with and whoever's facilitating it isn't aware of their injuries and how to support that. Yoga doesn't work for people maybe who have a lot of trauma and are working through it in their physical bodies, and then all of a sudden we're asking them to pay attention to their bodies and get where's your pelvis? And for some people they can't connect with their pelvis through their own trauma or whatever it is, right? So yoga isn't for everybody as well. And I used to say that we just need to modify, and even just like when I did my yoga practice, after my 200 hour, I just wasn't open to cues and just wanted to do the cues that I had learned at my 200 hour instead of exploring cues from different teachers, for example. And, what are some other things that I was super... I used to say, I could never meditate. I could never journal. I'm too busy. Really like at multiple points in my life, I arguably wasn't open to expanding my mind that way. I wasn't open to changing my mind, and I did, thankfully. Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not in those mindsets anymore. And I really, truly try not to be in those fields, and I try and be more open to the idea of changing my thoughts. And I've shared it before, not to get political on the vaccine thing, whether it works, doesn't work, whatever, it's up to you to decide. But I was against it, and then I got COVID, and I tried to find resources to make me believe that maybe I should have gotten it, And so I really, truly, that's where I try and go now. And I actually have some friends. Well, I know there's people that either love this about me or they hate this about me. And some of them can't see exactly what I'm doing, but I always like to be the devil's advocate. Even if someone says something to me that I actually agree with, I will still try and say something to them that stirs the pot. Yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about that? And, I really try not to use blanket statements as well. And again, it's easier said than done. Sometimes you don't even realize you're saying it, especially when some of the blanket statements that you say are arguably a neurological pathway in your brain, and you don't even mean to say these things. They just come out without thinking twice, right? Like you always say, hello, how you doing, or bye the same way, or whatever it is, your sayings with your partners or sayings with your kids, like just all of that is just so engraved in us and we don't even realize it most of the time. And so I'm sure I have those blanket statements, but even then I try not to say them. Even when someone says a blanket statement that I mostly agree with, I still don't like statements that are have like a super carved in stone feeling to them, like everybody should, everybody this, nobody should, everybody, like really just saying, like assuming that every and all people are the same. So just to, I guess that digs into my head a little bit, but this is something that I've been really playing with and toying with this question. Are you truly open to changing your mind and changing your point of views, changing what you believe in, trying something new, and bringing it back to yoga and moving your body in a new way, trying a different shape, a different position? Are you open to using a block? Are you open to asking for help? Are you open to these things? And a lot of times we think that we're open, but then when we sit there and we actually ask the question, are we open? A lot of times we're not. And I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. Like we all should have our values. We should have things. See, blanket statement should. In theory, we all have point of views and we all have values that are anchored into us and that we follow and we stay true to. For example, like, are we open to changing our minds? Yeah, but I'm not going to change my mind in a way that goes against my values and my compass system. I'm open to hearing someone else's point of view, and I'm open to accepting the fact that they are allowed to have their point of view and they're allowed to have a different point of view than my point of view. I'm super keen on that and I'm super into that and I am a-okay with that. But that doesn't mean I'm going to change my point of view, but I'm open to hearing what they have to say and to respectfully and, the good old saying, let's agree to disagree with them. I'm happy to do that too. I don't align with a 9-to-5 job. I just the idea of doing the same thing day in, day out, 40 to 50 hours a week, working for somebody else, like none of that appeals to me. And for some people, that does appeal to them because there's a sense of security. They know, okay, every 2 weeks, I'm going to make X amount of dollars minimum. And I know that I have a job, and depending on what your job is, you might be like solidified in the fact that it doesn't matter what the economy's doing or inflation's doing or whatever, like I'm guaranteed my job. I know that sometimes inflation in the economy does impact your job depending on what you do, but a lot of people don't have that. And that's why they choose those jobs and they're just so happy in that security. And then they don't have to think about it. And the idea of like having no idea how much money they're going to make this week, how much money they're going to make this month, if they're going to make any money this week, if they're going to make any money this month, if they're going to get any sales, if they're going to get any clients, if they're going to get any new contracts. Like for some people, that idea just doesn't align. Does that mean that they aren't open to does that mean you need to not be open to maybe accepting the fact that someone else that does work for? Not necessarily. You can still open and change your mind. So for example, maybe you work a 9-to-5 job and you think entrepreneurs are BS and you're like, that lifestyle is just sucks, X, Y, and Z. Are you open to changing your mind that, okay, maybe that lifestyle doesn't suck. Maybe that lifestyle works really well for some people. Not me. That doesn't mean it has to work for me, but I am changing my mind to the fact that for some people that does work really well. If you're a parent, maybe that opens you up to the fact that, okay, down the road, when your child comes to tell you that they don't want to go to university, they don't want to work a 9-to-5 job, they want to start their own business, you have a different perspective, right? Are you open to changing that perspective? So just because we change our minds and change our perspective doesn't mean that we need to really change our values and change what's important to us and follow our own moral compass, if that makes sense. So hopefully that does make sense. And the other thing when it comes to changing your mind, are you open to being wrong? And maybe wrong's not the word. Are you open to what you believed before maybe not being the truth? Are you open to a new truth? Or truly, are you open to it? Because a lot of us think, yeah, I am open to being wrong. And I'm just going to use wrong for simplicity's sake. Yeah, I'm open to being wrong. But the moment someone comes in and tells us we're wrong, our ego comes in and tries to protect us. Oh, no, 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 like that's X, Y, and Z. No, 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 that's not the truth. Or no, 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 you could never. I could never. Like if we think we're open to it, and then the moment that our ego is probed and poked, that's where the truth, if we're open to the change, really hits us. And, and again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just, I think when you can really truly meet yourself at that, okay, am I open to this? Am I not open to this? And when you can just live in your truth of, no, I'm not open to this. This is what I feel. This is what I think. This is what I experience. I don't want to change my mind. I'm happy. I don't want to change the way I think. I'm happy. I don't want to change my beliefs. I'm happy. I don't want to change how I feel about X, Y, and Z. I'm happy where I'm at. That's fine too, right? Because then you don't put this pressure on yourself that you're trying to be or do or think anything else. And if you are trying to change your mind, I think that you really have to sit with yourself and ask yourself if you're open to it. Because if you're truly open to it, and if you're open to it, there are going to be situations where nothing changes. Whoops, I just hit the microphone. Sorry if you can hear that. There's going to be situations where nothing changes and everything stays the same. And that's fine. And, that doesn't test our ego or test if we truly are open to the change. But if we are trying to change our mind, if we are trying to change our perspective, if we are trying to grow our knowledge in certain things, when that time comes that we're opening up and seeing like, okay, am I open to change? Oh, here's a change going to hit us. That's where the truth comes out. And if you can prepare yourself to be like, okay, when I'm trying to change my mind, when I'm trying to change the way I think, if I'm trying to change the way I believe, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is you're trying to change, there's always going to be resistance. There's always going to be your ego like, hey, no, no, trying to convince you that maybe what you thought was wrong, what you did was wrong. There's always going to be people in your life, like when you go and change your mind or change how you believe, change how you think, change how you feel, change what's important. There's going to be people in your life that are going to tell you that you're wrong. There's going to be people in your life that are going to tell you what you're doing is dumb. There's going to be people in your life who judge you and have no filter between their brains and their mouths, and they just say what they're going to say. And all of that is going to test you if you are truly open to changing your mind. And if you can know that and you can expect that when you are going to change your mind, it makes a huge difference, because then you can come in with that expectation. My ego is going to come in and try and check me. My sibling is going to come in and tell me this is dumb because I know what they think. The people in my life are going to tell me I'm crazy because I know how they are. I used to think the same and now I'm thinking differently, or now I'm trying to think differently. I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to be myself. I'm trying to follow whatever it is that you're trying to follow. There's always going to be some resistance somewhere in our lives. So that's my thoughts for you today, my brain dump into the microphone. And it's something I've been pondering a lot lately, just with myself, just with what I think, just what I feel. I'm currently working on changing my belief pattern on a lot of things, and I don't work well with I am statements. I work well with I choose to believe. But even with the I choose, that works really well. But the brain, any opportunity, like if I'm not paying attention, my brain is going to go to those old patterns and old thought beliefs and the old limiting beliefs that I'm working through and I'm trying to break. Because the moment I stop paying attention, my brain is like, and this is like for everybody, the moment we stop paying attention to our brain, this is why a meditation practice is useful, a journaling practice or mindfulness or paying attention, whatever you want to call it. But the moment we stop paying attention to our brains are like, okay, here we go. And then they get to go buck wild, whatever buck wild means for them. So it's always super interesting when we're kind of working through these things. And so just with all of that, I've been thinking with some brainstorming on things that I'm creating right now as far as yoga and menstrual cycles and all the fun stuff. It's just been things that have really, really, truly been on my mind, and things that I've been considering and thinking and trying to see where I can expand and grow on certain things. So anyway, that is my brain dump for you. Thanks for tuning in. I would be so grateful if you would leave a review, if you would tag me on social media. I am Louise Elizabeth, so I can share this podcast with more people. And if you gained some value, please let me know what you gained. And wherever you are in this beautiful world, have a lovely and beautiful day. Bye.